In this video, we're going to show you how to replace the driver's side rear brake caliper and bracket located right behind your rear wheel. The process for this is the same for the passenger side. I'm going to go ahead and remove our center cap. Pop that off, set that aside. Using our 21mm socket, we're going to go ahead and loosen and remove our lug nuts. With our lug nuts removed, go ahead and grab the wheel, remove it, and set it aside. On the back side of a brake caliper, there are two 15mm bolts you want to loosen and remove. Just the lower one here, and then the one up on top. And spin that bolt out. Now we did go ahead and spray down our hardware with some rust penetrant to make things a little bit easier. Is our second bolt. Go ahead and set that aside. At this point here, we're going to go ahead and use our pry tool. Go ahead and work our caliper off, gently wiggling that back and forth. And pop off the caliper. And we're going to use our tool here to go ahead and hang this. We're going to put it through the eyelet there for the bolt. And just going to pull this up top and set it up top, supporting this unit. Using our 18mm socket with an extension, let's go ahead and loosen and remove our caliper bracket bolts. Go ahead and spin out that lower bolt, set that aside. Let's go ahead and repeat for the upper bolt. Now I'm holding the caliper bracket at this point here. You want to be careful because once you pull out this last bolt, like so, the caliper will be loose and it's going to come out with your brake pads. Go ahead and slide that out and set that aside. Now you want to take your brake caliper and bracket. You want to go ahead and remove the two slide pin bolts. We're using a 15mm socket here with our ratchet. Remove these two. Take the caliper off, set that aside. What we're going to do is take our caliper bracket, we want to remove our slide pins. So you want to simply grab these here and gently pull them out. Now the rubber boot is going to be sealed onto these here. You don't want to tear them, so just gently work those off. So gently peel that seal back and pull the slide pin out. Now what we want to do is we want to pay attention to the amount of grease that's on here. There's a little bit of grease on there, but we do want to add a little bit to ensure that this lasts a long time. And we don't want to add too much because this will actually create too much back pressure or pressure inside the caliper tube here and push this out. You can see we added just a little bit more. We want to slide this in, push that in. You can see that that is pushing itself out, so we want to go ahead and clean this up a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a tiny pick here, and I'm gently going to go in on the edge of that seal. I'm going to open that up and push this pin in. And that's what we want. That pin is seated nicely, has a little bit of pressure there, but that's good. We want that to move. Do the same for this side here. On the portions here where our brake pad sliders are going to go, we want to go ahead and apply a small amount of grease. Just a little bit on the contact points. Once we have that, let's go ahead and install our shims. Now we have our sliders here. They can also be called shims, but we're going to go ahead and line these up. Simply press those down into place, lock them onto the caliper bracket. Repeat for the other side. Before you go ahead and remove the flex hose from your brake caliper, you want to have a catch can underneath. Brake fluid is going to run out of this once we remove this bolt and we disconnect it. Using a 13mm socket, loosen and remove this bolt. That's going to remove the hose and the block itself. You want to grab that block and you want to inspect it. You want to clean it the best way you can. Get any debris out of that brake port there. Clean this up. I'm just using a pick to go ahead and clean out that debris on the mounting there. We need to make sure that this surface is clean, so I'm going to use a little bit of fine sandpaper to go ahead and sand that block smooth. At this point here, we can go ahead and discard our old caliper. All right, what we want to do is take our brake hose here. We're going to take our banjo bolt with a copper washer, feed it through the front. Take our second copper washer, put it over that. Now I want to go ahead and install this onto our new caliper. So go ahead and get that bolt threaded in. Once we get it started a few threads, I'm going to go ahead and tighten that down. Now at this point here, we can go ahead and wipe down our caliper. Once we have that bolt snug, let's go ahead and set this up in a side here. Take your caliper bracket, slide that over your caliper, and I'm going to go ahead and get the upper bolt started first. Once we get this started a few threads, I'm going to go ahead and install the lower bolt. With both of these started, let's go ahead and snug those down. Go ahead and snug both of these down. Let's go ahead and torque these bolts down to 96 foot-pounds. Now we're going to install our brake pads. All right, once we have this side in here, go ahead and repeat for the back side. Go ahead and bring your caliper down into place. Slide that over and get your caliper bolts started. And once you get both of those in, let's go ahead and snug them down. Well, let's torque down our bolts to 23 foot-pounds. We'll repeat for the upper. Now on our flex hose bolt here, we want to go ahead and torque this down to 8.8 foot-pounds or 106 inch-pounds. And right on the top of the caliper here is a brake bleeder screw with a rubber cap. Pop off the cap. We're going to use our 10 millimeter. We'll go ahead and open up that brake bleeder screw. What this is going to allow for is brake fluid to come through, fill up the piston itself, and then come out through the top. Once we see fluid coming out through here, I want to go ahead and close that up, wipe it down, and put the cap back on. Now we have fluid leaking out. That tells us that our caliper is full. Let's go ahead and tighten down that bleeder screw. Just want to bottom that out and just a hair bit more. We don't want to over tighten it. Wipe everything down and put our cap on. What you want to do next is go ahead, hop into the vehicle, pump up the brakes, make sure that your pedal is firm. Take the car for a road test after you get your wheel on. If the pedal feels soft or mushy for any reason, you want to come back and you want to start your brake bleeding process. Let's go ahead and install your wheel. I'm going to go ahead and get all of our lug nuts started by hand. Once we get these on, we'll snug them down. Let's go ahead and torque down our lug nuts to 110 foot-pounds. Once we have those torqued, I'll go ahead and install our center cap. And you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.